There comes a moment in some lives where nothing is wrong, yet nothing feels right. You've achieved things, you've pushed through, you've done what was expected, and now, strangely, you feel nothing. No excitement, no direction, no joy. This is not a story about failure. It's a story about someone who made it far and then lost himself along the way. If that sounds familiar, stay with this. Chapter 1. The Man Who Felt Nothing. His name was Kaido. He was 37. From the outside, his life looked complete. Career, stability, respect. From the inside, it felt hollow. He wasn't sad, he wasn't angry, he was disconnected. Disconnected from himself, from his feelings, from the quiet inner voice that once told him what mattered. Every attempt at change stayed in his head. Every plan became another thought. Every insight another burden. And on the outside, nothing changed. His life stagnated. He knew the words: burnout, conditioning, inner blocks. They explained everything and fixed nothing. His mother, Aiko, noticed before he did. She saw how his laughter disappeared, how his eyes grew distant, how even simple conversations exhausted him. For years, Kaido had refused help, not out of pride, but because he didn't understand what was happening to him. Now he did. And when Aiko quietly suggested that he visit his grandfather in the mountains, he didn't argue. He just agreed. Chapter 2. The One Who No Longer Pushed. Haru lived high in the mountains, where the air was thin and the days were quiet. Haru was a Zen monk, not the kind who taught with explanations, but the kind who waited until explanations were no longer useful. They sat together in silence, a long one. Finally, Kaido spoke. "I don't know who I am anymore," he said. "I don't know what I want. Nothing brings me joy. Everything feels like effort." He paused. "I don't even have the strength to try changing my life again," he continued, "because I already know how it ends. I've tried before, and every attempt just made me more tired." Haru listened carefully. "You are exhausted," he said quietly, "from carrying a life that no longer feels like yours." Kaido looked up. "I want to change," he said. "So many things in my life, including myself, but everything stays in my head. Nothing reaches my body. Nothing breaks through." Haru stood. "Come," he said. Chapter 3. The Walk Without Answers. They walked through the forest without speaking. The path was narrow, soft earth beneath their feet, leaves crunching with each step. You may recognize the feeling Kaido carried. Not this forest, but the restlessness inside him, the endless thinking, the constant search for clarity, the hope that one more insight might finally unlock something. Kaido broke the silence. "I've read books," he said. "I've analyzed myself. I understand my patterns." Haru stopped. "That is the problem," he said calmly. Kaido frowned. "What do you mean?" "You are trying to leave your head," Haru replied, "by using your head." Chapter 4. The Child Who Never Asks If. They reached a clearing. A young mother sat in the grass. In front of her, a small child, just learning to walk. The child stood up, took 2 shaky steps, fell, sat for a moment, then stood again. No encouragement, no explanation, no doubt. The child tried again. The next day, the same, and the day after. Never once asking if it would succeed, only when. Kaido watched in silence. "There is no hesitation," he said softly. "No question." Haru nodded. "Children do not negotiate with their bodies," he said. "They allow the process to unfold." He turned to Kaido. "Success is never a question of if," Haru continued. "It is a question of how many steps remain." He paused. "Adults lose years because they keep asking whether they should begin at all." Chapter 5. Why Adults Get Stuck. They sat down on a fallen tree. Everything feels heavy to me, Kaido said. Every step feels overwhelming. Haru nodded slowly. Because you are trying to move your entire life at once, he explained calmly. When something feels too large, your nervous system reacts as if it were danger. Danger? Kaido asked. Yes, Haru replied. Your brain does not distinguish between physical threat and mental overload. Kaido understood. That's why I avoid things, he said. Not because I don't care, but because it feels like too much. Exactly, Haru said. Stagnation is not a character flaw. It is a protective response. Chapter 6. The goal may be big. Haru picked up a stick and drew a large circle in the soil. This, he said, is your goal. He made the circle intentionally big. It may be big, Haru continued. It should move you. It should carry a feeling so strong and beautiful that it pulls you toward it like a magnet. Kaido felt his chest tighten. You need a why, Haru said. Something that fuels you when the journey feels long. Then Haru drew a small mark near the circle. And this, he said, is the next smaller step toward your goal. Kaido frowned. It's tiny. Yes, Haru replied. So your body does not shut down. He explained gently. The goal is for your heart. The steps are for your nervous system. If you only focus on the goal, your body becomes overwhelmed. Everything tightens. Stagnation follows. If you only focus on steps, you lose direction. He looked at Kaido. You need both. Chapter 7. What actually carries you? Back at the temple, they sat facing each other in silence. Change works like this, Haru said. It is not the size of the steps that matters, he continued, but whether they are walkable. He paused. Some days allow big steps, some days only small ones. Both move you forward, as long as you keep moving. Kaido listened closely. You need will, Haru said honestly. Without it, you would forget the goal. But will alone cannot carry you through every day. Structure helps, he continued, but it is not a law. Some people move in order, others in chaos. What matters is not how you move, but that you do not abandon the direction. Then his voice softened. After the war, Haru said, people in Japan were exhausted. They had dreams, but no strength for heroics. So they did not create a system for perfect days, but for difficult ones. This way was later called Kaizen. Not to become better quickly, he said, but to continue when everything inside you is tired. Chapter 8. The doorway back to yourself. You don't need a breakthrough, not because breakthroughs don't exist, but because they cannot be forced. What you need is a doorway, small enough to walk through without thinking. If you feel lost, numb, or tired of yourself, don't ask who you should become. That question keeps everything in your head. Ask instead what you can do today that is so small, so clear, so walkable, that your mind has no reason to stop you. That is where movement begins. And that is where, step by step, you meet yourself again.